Thank you, Mike. What a great presentation. When you say AI, are you exclusively talking about large language models?
No, absolutely not. Your objective may be something as simple as automating workflow. That's just there's still a language model there, but not a large language model. The rules are also simpler also, but no, the answer is no, it's not exclusively to LLMs.
Okay. Not sure if this is the right place to ask these questions because I think that they're coming down to actual technology. Somebody's asking, what type of data are you referring to, and is it in context of AutoCAD?
Great question. AutoCAD, if you use AutoCAD, that's definitely part of it. The data I'm talking about is when you think about data, you've got to think about every piece of data that sits there. Customer masters, product masters, design palettes, color palettes, different objects that go into a, specifications, how long a door opening is, how high a door opening is. That's all data, okay? In the AutoCAD world, that ends up being pieces and parts, block sizes, things like that. That's data, okay? But data also is the sales orders, the RFIs, the interaction with change documents, the interactions with constructions firms, the as built versus as designed. That's data. Everything that goes into a model, everything that goes into a product specification, that's all data. It's a very broad term, and it encompasses the entire enterprise of your business.
Okay. John's asking, does your team offer assessment services?
Yes.
Okay. So John, if you're not sure who to go to, you can email me. I just put my email address into the chat, and I can, if you don't know who your IMAGINiT person is, I can find that person for you. Will you be building AI tools into the Clarity platform to ease our internal adoption?
That's on the roadmap. We've had a discussion there in our products team about that. It's early days, but yes, it's being evaluated and looked at. The team is looking at a couple of engines that we will incorporate and embed into Clarity.
Okay. How do you evaluate what best AI engine that suits your needs?
It's really about your process and your objectives. So you can go through and look at engines. We can share with you what we've done from an evaluation standpoint. Your processes and your use cases are going to drive what engine is going to meet your needs. Because there's, the one thing I can tell you from a niche player, there's an engine out there that's site safety. Well, I would never use that engine to go look at regulatory compliance. They're two different rules, two different languages, and they won't. You'd waste a lot of time trying to teach the other discipline, right? So it's all about what your processes say, what your use cases say, and then you line that up with, you ask the questions of the vendor. Can you do this? Can you this? And you use your process and use cases as your examples, as your evaluations stack.
Excellent. All right, Simon is asking, gosh, Simon, I hope I don't wreck this for you. Since humans are intuitive, nonlinear thinkers, how does your firm control and adjust variability on data inputs?
That's a great question. Some of it is process controls. Some of it is, understanding the data literacy of how data is being used by the business and the people. Some of it is, frankly, the variable nature. Your business is always changing. You're always changing the data. You're always changing the inputs. That comes into how you maintain your structured data model and how you interpret in that for your engine to act upon.
That's great. Joshua, what specific AI tools / apps, programs have you seen used by architects already besides chatbot like ChatGPT?
Most of them have been chatbots, predictive analysis. Open AI is a big one out there. You see chatbot and ChatGPT being used. There's Gemini, it's out there doing some things from a technology standpoint. But for the most part, people are asking about very specific questions, very specific answers. Go get this set of windows, go get this set of blocks, go get this set of scenarios, bring them back to me. And tell me what they mean and give me the data with it. So it's still pretty much chatbot centric. We're getting into the initial stages of design, predictive design, but I wouldn't call that mature yet.
Okay. Jared, good question. It sounds like AI is most useful for repeatable tasks. Does AI have a place in a company where every design is unique?
If you can define the rules of that uniqueness, if you can define the terms you use to drive that uniqueness, and you can provide it with data to draw upon, then yes. The structured data is going to drive that question and drive that answer, frankly, but it's what are the commonalities of your unique designs across every plan, every model? Is there something in there that's standardized you can have an AI do? In that context, you may not get to 100% model, you may get to a 60% model. That's still faster than starting from scratch.
Okay. What have you found to be the biggest barrier to start down the AI journey?
The biggest barrier to the AI journey? Really time. I mean, time comes into play. People, if there's got to be a decision made to do a journey, that's the first domino to fall, if you will. And after that, it's really the time, because you have to talk to the people who are doing the day jobs. You have to interrupt their business, when you ask your questions. So it's really time, the time to plan, the time to execute.
Okay. Walter, fellow Canadian, where are the servers that run this AI? Canadian firms doing government projects are restricted to keep all data within its borders.
Yeah, you'll find most AI engines have today either a infrastructure as a service mentality, which you'll find both in Canada and the US. That's what you got to be careful of there, is making sure that that data, that the security of that data is behind your controls. The one thing people don't realize about chatbots and AI today is the millions of people using GPT or using Gemini are asking questions in the public domain. That's putting your data, that's putting your processes, that's putting your information out into the world. You don't want that. So what you want to make sure of is when you deploy an AI technology, which there's rarely an issue with where it sits, where it lands, make sure that you have the right controls, the right tenancy that will make that data private to you. You don't want to be teaching somebody else's engine how to do your business.
And John says he's got a follow-up question. So is your system looking at CMMC or FedRAMP compliancy?
It's on our roadmap, not today.
Okay. All right. Hopefully I didn't read this. Would you consider ChatGPT as an AI engine to process data within an organization, or does it need to be an embedded AI system within a software offering, for example, Microsoft Copilot?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer. The use cases will kind of drive the answer, to be fair. The integration layer of where your data sits, how you get it into an engine is going to be the key element there. Both are valid. It depends on how you want to use them.
Okay, just a couple more before we get to the top of the hour. This looks like it can be a long-term effort. How are you advising your customers to break this into smaller pieces or efforts and still get to the end?
Well, yeah, what we've got is a methodology. So we've built several roadmaps for our customers that start small. We break it into phases, right? So it's really breaking down the estimates. Everything is continuous. So there's not one thing that stands by itself. So you can get benefit from everything, but we break it into small pieces. We break it into smaller chunks based on what your business can accommodate. We overlap or sequential based on your timing of your, there's always, cyclical times when you're busy, you're not busy. So it really is about breaking it down to meet your needs. We have a couple different frameworks that we've used to outline, how to get to this for a couple customers, a couple small ones, a couple big ones. But it's all about breaking it into pieces and parts.
Excellent. Okay, how do you educate or embed awareness for AI, and in brackets, it's hallucinations for users?
I love it. I love the qualification. There's a, one thing that I was going to mention was around your staff, right? It's all about training. It's all about really teaching your people what you're going to do, what your objectives are, what you're asking to be done. There are a ton of classes that explain AIs, how to use them, that we also encourage our people to look at. We look at LMSs to help with ongoing education. And like I mentioned during the presentation, right? It's going to be your obligation to make sure your staff is trained on what this AI thing is and how you and your vision are going to use it. If you do that, you'll be successful and your people will be just fine.